Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you've been doing well. Today we are back for another review. They're coming out quick. I promise. We've got Byakuya Kuchiki from the Bleach line. Most recently, I believe this is from his 1000-Year Blood War arc. I want to say I haven't watched that yet, so I can't really say for sure. But it is one of his more recent looks. And I mean, listen, right off the bat, I'm just going to say this is going to be a very short review. If you have the figure, you probably understand why. If you don't, you probably still understand why. But this guy right here, he is just more or less the same kind of figure as Renji, I would say. I mean, Ichigo and Renji, they share similarities as well. Obviously, Ichigo's got the, smaller, thinner kind of upper body. But Renji, he has the folds from the robes and whatnot. And it's pretty much the same deal here with Byakuya. So articulation-wise, when we get into it, it's going to be fairly quick and more or less the same, but yeah, really quick, let's just go over his accessories and then we'll get into the later portions of the video. Oh, first things first, right out the box, we've got this stern expression, and we've got his kind of surprised, shocked expression, which I do like that they've been including so far with each release. You've got the eyes closed, kind of focused, meditating, getting ready to strike, and you've got kind of a grating teeth expression a little bit, and you also get a side eye, which I think is probably one of his best faceplates he does come with. It's just very Byakuya, it looks good. And of course you get your fist hands coming right out of the box. You get a pair of open palm hands, and surprisingly, I'm not really sure what to call this next one. It's just another set of open palm hands, slightly closed more. You get a slightly open hand on his left side that I guess you could use to hold the sheath on his left hip. And yeah, you also get the sword holding hands. And then lastly, of course, the actual sword sheath with the hilts that you can take off to give the illusion that he's holding his sword or the hilts for his bankai. While we're talking here, that is probably one of the bigger issues with him, is he doesn't come with any effects to make his bankai look cool. Renji and Ichigo come with big swords where they can get away with not having any extra accessories. That's okay. I still would want more, but they come with those things that make him look, okay, this is cool, right? As for him, he doesn't. But let's move into the articulation here really quick. So of course, I gotta start off from the back. He does have articulated 2 hair pieces. Similar to Renji too. Not too bad. Get some pretty decent range out of there. Up and down. And then for the head, that's about as far up as he can go. And this is about as far down as he can go, which is pretty good, all things considered. And then it is on a double ball peg, so you're gonna get, a pretty decent swivel there. Nothing obstructing the neck that bad. And then his arms can get into that kind of YMCA pose, so pretty good range up there. And these are soft plastic, so don't really get in the way too much. And there's a little bit of a drop down feature on the shoulders, so use it if you want, but the little plastic piece might make it look a little weird, so be cautious of that if you really care. Butterfly joint, pretty good. He can hold his sword with 2 hands. All swordmen should, so I'm glad that that's working more or less the same. You've got your bicep swivel, and then you've got your articulation here at the elbow, which is not that much compared to actually the Mashal figure that came out. That one had a little bit more extra range there too, so I'm gonna hope that they can kind of adjust that a little bit more in the future. And I'm assuming that Tanjiro, whenever we get more information, might more or less be the same thing. And of course, you've got your articulation there at the wrist. Now, his articulation here at the waist, the abdomen and whatnot, more or less, it's going to be the same as Renji. So I don't really have anything too bad to say about it. I mean, it's pretty decently articulated. You can use that crotch piece. And then, of course, you've got your legs, which same legs that Ichigo and Renji have. So once again, it's coming down to a design aesthetic, I would say. If you really don't like them, that's the option right there. I don't really think we have any other good Byakuyas either, so it's like, it's this or nothing, I think. Maybe Dawson Model's making one or has made one. I don't know. But yeah, this is all the same basic articulation, so we're just kind of speed running it right now while I'm talking about it. You got all the standard articulation, and a lot of the complaints I had, you know, for like Ichigo and Renji, I would have for him too, because they're using the same body structure. So hopefully, like when we get our kenpachi reveal in like 10 or 11 days, that he's different and they've, you know, tried some new engineering. But real quick, this is me showing that the butt flap is actually a little bit of soft plastic, so you can do back kick without having to strain the plastic or break it. And then of course you've got the lower robe portion being on a hinge, and it's soft plastic too, so there's that. It's not too bad. It's just they could have gone with the whole seamless look if they really wanted to, like they did with Ichigo. So curious what made them change their mind here. And now this is kind of just like getting into the conclusion spot. Like I said, we're running straight through this. This is like almost like a one talk segment. But yeah, so I brought Renji, I brought Ichigo out. You know, it is what it is with these guys. I mean, at the end of the day, if you like Byakuya and you want him, I say sure, go for it. But I don't think he's one you have to rush to buy. I feel like he's one that could go down in sales. Not because he's a horrible figure, but I mean, the line overall has not just, it hasn't been popping off the way I think it has for like One Piece or Naruto. And despite One Piece coming out with some weirdly engineered figures, you know, it's still doing relatively well with their figures getting sold. And Bleach really hasn't been keeping up with that kind of hype. I don't know why. If there's something in the back end that they're like, okay, well, you know, it can remain on the back burner or something, I don't know. But it hasn't been getting that same top field promotion, which weird. But there's definitely things that I think that they kind of need to branch into, and I say this a lot. They really need to start like communicating with each team, because I'll bring Geto out here in this video just to kind of show you, you know, he's got more or less kind of the same type of get up with the clothes he's wearing, obviously a little different in design, but I do think that there's ways that they could make those legs on those three characters a lot more sleeker and better articulated, because the problem is that they look really blocky, right? And there's no extra articulation at the low leg. You know, there's no articulation in the forearm, which they have done before. That's why I brought Geto out, kind of to show the legs and stuff. But if you've bought the SHFiguarts Yuta from Jujutsu Kaisen, he has articulation on his forearm as well. And that's kind of what I'm pointing out here in this clip. It's just there's extra bits of articulation that they could have been adding already, but for the three figures that they decided to start for this line, they seem to have wanted to take the simple route, which, again, if it works, it works. I'm not going to complain, but I do think that characters like this, you have to do something to differentiate them way more if you're going to reuse the same type of body mold, and that's kind of where he falls flat. As I mentioned in the beginning, he has no accessories to make him flashy. His whole thing is having a whole bunch of rose petals or like a kind of energy looking pink sword, you know, different stuff, right? He's got just a whole bunch of shit around him, and he doesn't have anything to make that look like a cool effect, and that's kind of the problem. So yeah, you know, you don't want to have to resort to buying third-party products either, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's about as much as I can say about Byakuya as a figure. Go for it if you really, really like Byakuya. Otherwise, I would say just wait for a sale or wait for a discount if you can get one. I don't really see him like selling out like that. Maybe if they announce like Rukia eventually, so you can have someone else to pose him with, maybe. But ideally, I think that they should really try to go back to the earlier arcs and whatnot, like Waco Mundo, Soul Society arc, just because those are kind of the core arcs I feel where you get really good moments from these characters so far from what I've seen, and a lot of the designs that people like are there as well. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So the start of this Bleach line with their three figures, Ichigo, Renji, and Byakuya, it's okay. It's not impressive enough to compare to some other lines, but I would say that they started off okay. Now, Kenpachi needs to like ramp it up and be something to get really hyped for again. And he's a big character, so I don't know what huge moment he had in the show recently for the 1,000 Year Blood War arc, but I'm hearing that he did some cool shit. So hopefully, they live up to that hype, get him out there, and we'll find out on the 10th of December if he is just going to be the same or if he's going to be a newly engineered figure, different type of innovation added into it, and kicks off the part 2 of this line in a better way. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Like I said, I'm going to keep it as a short review, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. There's more coming, so be prepared. Anyways, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.